the moment, I think it's not so much financial investment, but it's investment in myself and moving into coaching. Definitely, that's how it feels to me. My coaching is not up to the level where I want it to be. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be satisfied with just that kind of personality. But I think investing in myself and enrolling on the course to become a coach, that was probably one of the best investments I've ever made. Generally, investing in yourself, developing yourself, I strongly believe that this is one of the best things you can ever do in your life.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets, the podcast where we talk with successful career coaches on how they built their success and the hard lessons they learned along the way. My name is Davis Nguyen, and I'm the founder of Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, and even $100,000 weeks. Before Purple Circle, I've grown several 7- and 8-figure career coaching businesses myself, and have been a consultant at 2 career coaching businesses that are doing over $100 million each. Whether you're an established coach or building your practice for the first time, you'll discover the secrets to elevating your coaching business.
Welcome to Career Coaching Secrets Podcast. I'm Kevin, and today we're joined by Lukasz Kalinowski. He's been a coach for over 4 years and just recently went independent this year. Welcome to the show, Lukasz.
Thank you, Kevin. Pleasure to be invited, and I'm glad that I'm going to be able to share my experience with moving into coaching.
Yeah. Well, let's start at the very beginning. How did you get into coaching, and what made you want to turn it into a business?
Well, where to start? As usual, it's quite a long story, but I've been in a very regulated hospitality industry for many years, and I reached senior management level. And at some point, as it probably is for many people quite often, I felt that I'm missing something. So, you reach the level when you can't progress further, or maybe for your personal reasons, you feel like there's something missing. And that's when I started looking about using my skills and my experience to help others, especially managers or people who were in similar situation as I was, to help them to whatever they are dealing with, either professionally or personally. And that's when I started looking into executive coaching courses. Around the same time, I was actually approached by someone from the organization that was actually coaching me after, or training me after to become a coach. And the guy called me and said, "Oh, well, you have all this experience, management experience, and why don't you think about becoming an executive coach?" So that's how I started. I started doing my training. And from that point on, I started seriously thinking and seriously looking into making it a career one day, or something that I'm going to do full time.
Yeah. And what was that decision like to go fully independent this year? I'm really curious about that too.
That was probably one of the toughest, the most difficult decisions in my life, mainly because working full time and working as an employee for someone else, there is lots of things that you don't have to worry about. And being in a senior management position, you have quite decent salary, you have company car, you have all the benefits and everything that comes with a full-time job. Then you need to make a decision. Are you going to give up on all of that and move into something that you're going to manage yourself, so your own business, and eventually reach similar level or even higher? Or you're going to stick with what you're doing. However, you will give up on your dreams and you feel stagnated, because that's how I felt for quite a while whilst working for someone else for quite a big company. I felt stagnated. So for me, the decision was, what do I do? Do I go and follow my dream and become independent coach with my own practice? As usual, when you start your own business, there is risks that come with that. Or you just, stay in your cushy situation and go to work, do your job, and come back home, even though maybe you're not the happiest person in the world. Yeah. So my decision was, I will go and start doing coaching. It so happened that the company I was working for did gently, but they did push me out. So that was just another motivation factor for me. I just felt like, okay, that's my time. That is probably what I should start doing now. And I went full-time coaching from January this year, quickly. Later last year, I think it was October, so about 12 months ago, I've done my second in my life freefall jump, parachute jump. And I can easily tell you that jumping out of a plane with a parachute, even without the instructor strapping onto you and jumping into running your own business, although this is not the first business of my own that I run, but not working for someone else, but running your own business is much scarier than jumping out of a plane. It's equally pleasurable, but still follow your dreams. That's, I always tell people, follow your dreams.
A great analogy. I'm sure starting a business and running your business lasts a lot longer than the free fall out of an airplane, but that's a really great analogy. And speaking about that, right? Because it sounds like it was probably a really, maybe not suddenly planned, but it was a decision in the making and stuff. And so one of the things that coaching is, it's a service. And how did you kind of discover your ideal client profile, help, and what to help them with? Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah. That definitely was a process based on my own experience and skills. My perception was that my preferable clientele would be managers, senior managers, CEOs, company directors, managing directors. Going into coaching itself, even if you look just at executive coaching, coaching itself is a very good term, a very broad spectrum. So it's actually a necessity to find a niche and narrow down the services that you're going to offer, or rather, what is it going to be that you will focus on? So focusing just at executive coaching or coaching in general, yes, maybe it opens you up to such a large clientele and market, but at the same time, it's difficult to find clients when you're not sure what you actually focusing on. So for me, because of what I went through in my life and my life experiences, professional and personal, I decided that I will focus on building resilience. So whether it's a team resilience or personal, professional resilience. So from that point on, started looking at who could my clients potentially be. And it's still mainly senior management, but also teams. So I worked with companies and offered team coaching, team building, and I am working with CEOs, chiefs of staff. So it's mainly senior management. But again, it depends what your background is, what your skills are, what your experience is, and the training itself, qualification is important. It plays the role. So
yeah, and so you mentioned that you focus on resilience and working with senior management. And so let's talk about the marketing for a second. How do people find you, find out about your services? What kind of marketing are you doing right now?
So, as you can imagine, everyone probably has a similar approach. The first intuitive thing is to jump on social media and start advertising or start doing a lot of cold calling or sending lots of emails. Yes, I've done some of that as well. However, as part of my qualification, I was required to do quite a few hours of pro bono coaching. That gave me an idea that I can use that as a lever to acquire clients as well, mainly because I got a lot of recommendations from my pro bono coaches. A couple of my pro bono coaches turned actually into paying clients. But I would also encourage, and in my case, it did work, to engage in voluntary coaching, pro bono coaching when possible. Not necessarily for clients that they could pay, but it's not it's not wise to just go and give someone free coaching hours if you know that they can be your paying clients. But also there's plenty of organizations which will appreciate your coaching services. Maybe that's not going to be for your ideal clients in the future, but you will gain more experience and you will gain exposure, and it's definitely something to shout about. So yes, social media, definitely. Website, of course, it's a must have. Google profile, yes. A bit of standard advertising, standard social media. LinkedIn is very good for it. I'm very active on LinkedIn because that builds your presence and gives you good exposure. But also, volunteer. Just volunteer your coaching hours and do some pro bono hours. It did work for me.
Since you did pro bono, how do you decide who to give it to and who is a paid client in your experience?
Yeah, so for me, the requirements for pro bono, when I initially started doing pro bono hours, the requirements were that it has to be someone in a management position, preferably medium or senior management position. So that was the requirement for me to start pro bono coaching hours so I can use them for the purpose of my qualification. And I stuck to the same principle when I continued with pro bono hours. So even now, should I accept someone on my pro bono hour coaching program, that would need to be someone who is, apart from being very determined, maybe in a situation that normally they wouldn't be able to afford coaching hours, but I can see the potential, and I would then accept them into my pro bono coaching program. It's not a lot at the moment because, it's free, but I still do it. And then deciding whether someone is, paying client. By default, all our clients should be paying clients because we're running a business, running coaching practice. So you are looking at the clients that should be paying, and that's what we're looking for. We're offering a services, we're offering a value, and it's fair to get paid for it. So by default, majority of clients would be paying clients.
And let's talk about, okay, let's say they're finding out about you through word of mouth or social media, through LinkedIn in particular. So people are finding out about you. They're probably starting to work with you. What do your coaching engagements kind of look like? Are they majority like one-on-one coaching? Do you do group coaching? There's so many different methodologies. Which ones have you kind of gravitated to so far?
Yeah. Majority of my coaching is one-to-one coaching, although I do occasionally do a team coaching as well. Nowadays, with technology and everything, and great majority of my coaching is coaching online. So having conversations as we're having now. It starts with intake session. That can be anything between an hour and 2 hours. That's mainly to get to know each other from my side, to find out what is it that the person is working on, whether they are struggling with something or they would like to work on something, upgrade the skills, or maybe something that they are dealing with that work in the professional life. And also just to see whether there is a bit of chemistry. If there is a lack of chemistry, it's very difficult to coach. Sometimes you come across people, and as in real life, you just don't click, and that can be quite a bit of a obstacle in coaching as well. So it's much easier when there is that chemistry between coach and a coachee. During the same session, if everything is fine and we want to take it forward, then we agree on terms, discuss the contract, and then discuss in what format our coaching is going to be, how often the sessions going to be, and what is the main goal that we're going to work towards.
And the other thing I'm kind of curious about too, since you did mention pro bono and now you're like full-time into this, how do you manage your client capacity between I know you said most of them are paying clients, but since you are doing pro bono, it feels like that's quite a bit. And then you're also doing one-on-one coaching on top of that. So when you think about your client capacity, how do you think about that? Have you kind of reached that point yet, or not so much?
Well, you see, I think when it comes to that, quite maybe a little bit selfish, because I think I'm one of these guys that can take on a lot of work and just keep doing until they collapse, and that's it. But practically, most of the times the coaching sessions are every 2 weeks. So even having several clients being coached, or even a couple of dozen clients being coached, this is a number that is easily manageable once you set a clear schedule, plan everything, run the sessions, do the prep, and do the after the session. So that is not really something that concerns me a lot at the moment. I don't think I'm close to reaching my capacity. I think that's perfectly fine. Of course, I did think about it. Should I reach the level that I won't be able to take on more clients, and the clients would be coming or waiting, then there are ways of developing the practice and taking it further.
One of the things I noticed on this podcast is that a lot of coaches actually struggle with in pricing strategies, and money is always one of those taboo subjects. Obviously, you don't have to give any hard numbers, but in terms of pricing strategies or how you structure pricing, how do you do it? Do you do like packages? Do you do some sort of retainers, project-based, value-based? There's so many different models. I'm curious about how you structure yours.
Well, for me, it's always about the client. So I'm trying to be flexible about it as well and do it in a way that suits the client's budget. It is an investment from their side, so it needs to be some sort of level of flexibility from my side. What is important, what I believe is very important, is to not, when it comes to pricing, because, there's always that temptation of I'm just going to lower my prices, go very cheap, and then I will get a lot of clients. Well, it doesn't really work like that because, first of all, you do bring, as a coach, you do bring quality into or with your work, with what you do, and you need to price it at a certain level. There's also a quality in the client that you get. It's very easy to sell your services very cheap, but then how are you going to scale it? What you going to do when you will have hundreds of clients that bring you not too much income and you have tons and tons of work. So you overload it with work, but you don't really profit from that much. So I tend to stick with the prices that are very much average of the market prices. But as I said, I do give flexibility. So sometimes, especially companies, if I work for the company or with the company, they do like to have a retainer fee. So they do pay a retainer fee. Otherwise, it can be monthly payments, it can be quarterly, it depends on the program really. It can be payments split into 3 or 4 installments. So that is not really, I would say it's good to have flexibility there. Of course, it's not the same for everyone. And when I was starting at the beginning of this year, I didn't have tons of savings or anything like that. So my concern was, okay, I need to have a good cash flow and I need to have a bit of a cash reserve. So at the beginning, I was being a little bit more strict about it. So maybe not paying upfront, but at least paying some solid amount, maybe 50% upfront, and then the rest at the end of our program, whether it's 3 months or 6 months program. But now try to give a little bit more flexibility to clients as well.
One of the things I'm really curious about are your future goals. Do you ever have desires to scale? Where do you want this coaching business to take you in the next few years? Do you have any secret dreams, big ambitions no one knows about? Would love to hear some of that.
Well, those that no one knows about, I'm not going to share because that's for me. But yes, of course, scaling is absolutely 100%. I think generally for people that go into running their own business or their own practice, one of the main goals or one of the main priorities behind it is to have this, of course, freedom, but also freedom to decide when you're going to do it and how you're going to do it. And for me, that was one of the decisive factors as well. So being the person that is going to decide for themselves whether they will take on a client and do more coaching, or will step back and say, okay, I'm going to have some time off with my family. I'm going to go on holiday and do it on my terms and when I want to do it, not when somebody's going to tell me to do it or allow me to do it. Yes, scaling up, absolutely. Possibly one day teaming up with other coaches and running a bigger practice, possibly employing some coaches to work together with me so we can do coaching to larger. That is, I would say, within the next 3 to 5 years. My immediate, but shorter term goals is expanding something that I do together with coaching. That is a keynote speaking. It helps with coaching as well because when you run a practice, it's good to have a system in place. Just coaching on its own, yes, you provide a good service. Yes, you bring value, you help people. But in practice, it can be difficult to find clients, as with any business that you run. So when you set up a system, for me, that's, coaching, keynote speaking, but also writing articles, which I do. I'm working on my own book as well. So there needs to be a little bit in place more than just the coaching itself. So that is my immediate, the short-term plans, let's say up to next 12 months. I think for me, and still is, it's focusing on too many things at the same time or trying to achieve too many things at the same time. Everyone wants progress and possibly fast progress, but at the same time, you need to, at some point, if you're not doing it already, you need to start planning not only, your long-term goal, but it's a very good thing to learn to plan from day to day. So, before you go to sleep tonight, you just write a short list of things that you want to do tomorrow, and make a short list of things that you want to do this week. Otherwise, and at least that's how it was for me, still is sometimes. You sit down, you wake up in the morning, make yourself a coffee, and then you think, okay, what I'm going to do today? If you don't have a plan, you're going to start doing lots of things, and some of the things are going to take you off the path that you're supposed to follow. I suppose that's human nature. That's what I coach managers on as well, because whether it's at work, whether it's your personal life, there's always some distraction. Whether it's, and I'm not talking about typical distraction in your phone or your kids running around or something like that. I'm talking about the distraction where you know your path, what you need to follow to achieve your goal. But there's always something that is going to come at you and it's going to take your attention away, because maybe there's something more important or something that you think needs to be done at that time. So for me, the bottleneck for a long time was, for a few months, was trying to do too many things at the same time. And planning helped with that significantly.
What's really interesting about what you mentioned was, yes, the Netflix, the phones, the not so important distractions, those are easy for us to discern that they're not important. They're not that important. Maybe kids are important, but definitely the scrolling and all that. I think the harder part, what you described, is like the things that are seemingly important, but some things are more important than others, like you mentioned. And I'm so curious. When you said that you struggled with too many things at the same time and that you started planning and that helped, what were some of those maybe things that were seemingly important that you had to kind of be like, hey, maybe not now? What are some things that you had to deprioritize?
Oh, you see, everything is important when it comes to running your own business, your own practice. Everything is important, but you need to have a plan. For me, lots of things going through your mind and you think, I want to write a book. I want to get into speaking stage and keynote speaking. I want to do coaching. I want to approach this company and that company, and I want to do so many other things, but you just can't do it all at the same time. So that's why you need to start planning and deciding. So what is my priority? What is going to be that factor that thing that is going to move me towards my goal? So if my goal is I want to start coaching CEOs, how am I going to get there? Do I have qualification? Do I have experience? And all that. Focus on this and start planning towards your main goal. And anything that comes that is not linked directly to that, these yes, they will be important things, because certain things you can't disregard. But whether you will spend a day planning your next LinkedIn campaign or marketing campaign, is it necessary? Is it going to move you towards your goal? Or is there anything else that you need to focus on? So that's why it's important to have your plan. And of course, your plan is going to change. We live in a real life. You need to adapt and adjust your plan as you go as well. But you need to have it somewhere there, and you need to have it envisioned as well. And this way to go towards what you want to achieve. So those, for me, definitely spending too much time on preparing and planning my marketing campaigns, working on my book. Yes, I still think, it is one of the priorities for me, but I would spend sometimes days just working and sitting, thinking about that. It's great. I love it. But is it take me directly or pushes me directly towards the goal that I want to achieve in the next 12 months? Probably not at this point. So, it's that consideration of what is important, and planning, very short-term and long-term planning helps with that, definitely.
And yeah, if you're open to it, Lucas, I would love to play a game with you.
Of course.
Yeah. So this is a storytelling game. One of the things I just love on this podcast is hearing the stories of people's business investments, the good, the bad, all that sort of stuff. Because as you know, coaches, along with any entrepreneur, they invest into their own coaching, their own training, marketing, team members, a lot of different things. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to prompt a phrase and you just tell me the first thing that comes to mind for you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And try to be as specific as possible when I prompt these. Okay.
All right. Single word.
You can tell a phrase. You can say the first thing that comes to mind. And if there's a story that comes to mind, feel free to elaborate. Okay. First business investment you remember making?
Satellite dish.
Sorry, what was that? Satellite dish?
Satellite TV dish. That was my first business that I set up when I was in my early 20s. I was born and grew up in Poland, and I didn't move to England until my mid-20s. But my first business that I was running in Poland actually was a small business where myself and a couple of my guys, we were installing a very early and very modern, and that time a digital TV satellite dishes. So that was my first investment.
Yeah, the satellite dish cable TV days. I totally forgot about that. That's so funny. Okay. Last business investment you made.
Oh gosh, I suppose I keep investing, but the last business investment, I'm not sure which one. There are bigger ones and smaller ones. Okay, I'll say about the big one. It's a farm in Poland. Yes, a farm in Poland. So the story is that I grew up on a farm. I've been living there for some time. Then my younger brother took over the farm. It so happened for him that he couldn't manage it anymore. So I decided to buy it of him. So that's what I did. That was already about a year and a half ago, but that was probably the largest investment that I've made recently, and with reasons behind it as well. So what's better than sitting on a farm and coaching people?
The ambiance, the environment. There's something about that, but yeah, I love that. Okay. Best business investment you made?
At the moment, I think it's, maybe it's not so much financial investment, but it's investment in myself and moving into coaching. Definitely. That's how it feels to me. My coaching is not up to the level where I want it to be. I'm not sure if I'm ever going to be satisfied with just that kind of personality. But I think investing in myself and enrolling on the course to become a coach, that was probably one of the best investments I've ever made. Generally, investing in yourself, developing yourself, I strongly believe that this is one of the best things you can ever do in your life. And for me, that was throughout my whole career, that was always one of the main principles in my career. So over the years, I've attended so many courses and training programs. I think the best investment was enrolling on the coaching program.
Worst business investment that you kind of wish you got your money back from?
No, I'm not sure. And I'm being totally honest, I'm not sure whether I've made investment that I would totally regret. Possibly the circumstances later brought me to the point that the business didn't work out, but I would not say that it was because of the investment or the decisions I've made. Of course, I've made mistakes. We always make mistakes, especially when you run your own business and you learn while you do it. But I can't think, apart from silly things, maybe investing in some stock markets or something like that, when I would lose a few $100s or something like that. But apart from that, no, I am quite careful where I put my money.
Last game. It's called Underrated. As you know, you're a business owner, you're a coach. You probably got a lot of good advice and bad advice. You probably got a lot of solicited advice and unsolicited advice. And so I'm kind of curious, what's the most overrated piece of business advice that you've gotten so far? And what's the most underrated piece of business advice that you've gotten? I think it'll be really interesting because it's your first year and I would just love your perspective on that.
Yeah. I think the most overrated was that you need to be, especially for coaches, that you need to be super active on social media, whether it's, and I'm not only talking about LinkedIn, but super active on social media, on TikTok and Instagram and all that, to be successful. First of all, not everyone has a personality for it. And second, it depends what clientele you are aiming at. It's not always the CEOs or they're going to sit on TikTok or even Instagram and read your posts. Yeah, it's important for exposure, but I would say if someone, and that is the advice that I was given as well, if someone tells you you need to go there and start marketing yourself this way, I think that's overrated. And equally underrated is the power of human recommendation, just normal personal recommendation. We all know that recommendations work, but especially in this line of business, because it's kind of personalized and because we're trying to bring value, whether it to our organization or to a person, it really plays a really big role. So, if someone comes to you and says, I know that really good coach and I've been working with him for 6 months or something like that. And if you look inside for someone, and yeah, that works really well. And even now, probably even more now than ever with AI and everything, that human touch and human approach, the loyalty, that plays really, really big part.
Last question. How can people find you and connect with you, Lukasz?
Right. So I do have my website. That's www.lukaszkalinowski.com. So I appreciate that it might be not easy for someone to pronounce it by just my first name and surname.com. I am on LinkedIn as well under my name, Lukasz Kalinowski. You can also Google me. So just Lukasz Kalinowski, executive coach. Also, I am also visible on LinkedIn and on my website as a resilience architect. So if you put it together, resilience architect and Lukasz Kalinowski, I'm pretty sure you're going to be able to find me.
Work. And even though you're a business, it sounds like it tells me so much about how much you care about this business because you are taking time to do pro bono. And then also you shared about the struggles of like doing too many things at the same time and all that, which is a really great for all of us to really assess what's really important. And then I think that last part about human connection is so important and to deliver really great results. So I just want to say thank you, Lukasz, for the work that you do. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and just sharing your experience here. So thank you, Lukasz.
Thank you, Karen. Pleasure. I hope that whatever I could discuss with you is going to be helpful to whoever is considering going into coaching career. One thing I would like to add, if you don't mind, personally, if someone would like to approach me directly and just have a chat, ask for advice or just bounce ideas, I am always very happy to help and to have a discussion. Drop me a message on LinkedIn or just contact me through my website or just drop me a WhatsApp message. There's my phone number on my website as well. I'll be very happy to help anyone.
You are so generous, Lukasz. Like again, it goes back to your like pro bono and just like helping others. And it shows me how passionate you are about this industry. So thank you so much, Lukasz.
That's it for this episode of Career Coaching Secrets. If you enjoyed this conversation, you can subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this episode to catch future episodes. This podcast was brought to you by Purple Circle, where we help career coaches scale their business to $100,000 years, $100,000 months, or even $100,000 weeks, all without burning out and making sure that you're making the impact and having the life that you want. To learn more about our community and how we can help you, visit joinpurplecircle.com.